Well, I think it actually sounds about right. I mean, without Des Bryant, without Randy Gregory, I mean, the Cowboys obviously lost two pretty key pieces, one on offense, one on defense. So I think, they should be about a 5-point underdog, especially with how they played in the season opener against the Giants. I mean, kind of a lot of people were expecting them to win fairly easily in that game, and in the end they had to put together two late drives to just even take the lead and win it. And they were fortunate that the Giants, kind of had some bad clock management at the end.
Drew, so much this offseason made of the decision to let DeMarco Murray go. It seems that it's being received fine. I mean, Randall, they had a decent game, 23 for 80, 3.5 a carry. I wouldn't say that people were going bonkers over the running game, but how is it really being felt, the loss of Murray on that offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could definitely see it, but like you said, it's hard to duplicate DeMarco Murray. I don't think DeMarco Murray could have had the year he had last year again this year. I mean, that was a career year, something that Hall of Famers Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith never even did in the franchise, never were that productive. So his loss was clearly a blow, but I think they feel comfortable with the running game. I mean, when you look at the game, the numbers might not, stand out too well, but the three running backs, Darren McFadden, Joseph Randall, and Lance Dunbar, combined, when you include the receiving yards, had 211, 212 yards, something like that. So the production was definitely there from the backs, and it was just an odd game. They ran their 2-minute off time, so it was kind of a not-traditional game, so it's hard to say they weren't able to establish a running game because they didn't really have an opportunity to do that.
I was going to ask because I was looking back at last year, and Romo had thrown, the most passes he threw in a game were 41. That was an overtime game. Typically, they did not like to throw the ball over 40 times. They went 45 on opening night. With DeMarco out, do you anticipate that number being closer to 40 more often?
Yeah, and I think it could even be less than 40. I mean, the Cowboys, historically, when Romo has thrown 40 or more passes, I was actually just looking this up, they actually are a sub-500 team in games Tony Romo throws 40 or more passes. So they definitely want to use the running game and run the ball a lot more than they did in the opening game. So I would definitely expect Romo's passing numbers to come down a little bit, and the running game, more carries kind of spread between the backs.
I think yesterday it was kind of interesting because Chip Kelly he was asked whether or not he'd rather game plan for Des Bryant or not really know what Dallas is going to do because they haven't played a game without Des yet. How do you anticipate them looking in the past game without Des Bryant?
I mean, they're not going to be able to replace a Des Bryant, but they do like Terrence Williams. He's kind of been their number two. Maybe he hasn't put up the numbers that, some might think, hey, he can slide in there. But, he does have some deceptive speed. He's a guy who's pretty reliable, and, Tony trusts him, and, he's not scared to go to Terrence Williams' way. So I definitely think you'll see his production pick up as well as Cole Beasley, their slot receiver, especially if teams are playing cover two and stuff underneath opens up. That's really kind of where he thrives. So I would expect those two to kind of see their touches increase, as well as Jason Witten, who kind of became more of a run type blocking tight end last year. But I think you'll see him be utilized more in the passing game as well.
Drew Davison's with us from the Star-Telegram, covers the Dallas Cowboys. Ron Leary, very underrated player, I guess, on that offensive line. Is the anticipation that he will be ready to go for the game on Sunday?
I would say he is still questionable. I think he's going to be a game-time decision, kind of see if he's able to do anything in practice tomorrow. They'll kind of make a judgment from there, but I mean, Larry was clearly the best left guard. They signed Lael Collins to kid out of LSU to challenge Larry for the left guard, but, there's never really a competition in training camp. Larry kind of held on to it from the start. So they definitely hope Larry's ready to go, but if not, they like Collins, and they also have Mackenzie Bernardo, a veteran guard who's started some games in the league that, they feel like they can slide in there as well.
Joseph Randall looks like he is ready for this game. He says, I've been waiting for this game for a long time. I've been waiting for this opportunity on facing the Eagles. Is that facing the Eagles or getting an opportunity to show Murray that, he can handle replacing him?
Well, I think it's kind of both, and I think, he's kind of had this game circled. I mean, he said the meat on the bone comment earlier this summer and saying DeMarco left the meat on the bone. So I think he
did they not get along? Did they not get along when he was out there? Was there like friction between those two?
Yeah, I think they got along fine, but I don't think I don't think they're ones who are did any trips or anything like that in the off season or have really kept in touch. I mean, they were good enough teammates, but I don't think they were quote unquote best buds off the field. But they got along all right, and but no, I think Randall also is kind of ready to, kind of show he can take on a full load and hopefully get more than his 16 carries. And, he kind of said it today. He wants a 100-yard game. So that's kind of his focus and his goals. And, of course, that only happens if the team's successful. So he's definitely looking forward to it. And you can just tell he wants to go out and prove himself this Sunday.
All right, Eagles Cowboys right here on 97.3 ESPN. The pregame coverage starts at 3. The kickoff at 4:25. It's the first time the two teams will meet in September since 2008. They've only met in September 16 times ever, so it is going to be a early season clash between these favorites in the NFC East. And, of course, the coverage begins again at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Drew Davison from the Star-Telegram with a look at the Cowboys. Drew, we appreciate a couple moments.
All right, anytime.